The gentleman from Montana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my amendment number 58 would reduce the total appropriations for the Department of Interior, Environment, and related agencies by $1.55 billion, bringing the total cost of the bill down from nearly $58 billion to $56.4 billion. I submitted this amendment to get the total cost of this year's appropriation bills closer to the fiscal 22 levels. I've been traveling around the state of Montana for quite extensive periods of time over the last several months, and I've yet to find a single person that feels like we didn't have enough spending or government in fiscal 22. As a matter of fact, most of them truly believe that we had far too much government, and it was engaged in trying to run their lives, and they did not want to see anymore. I believe that the federal government had more than enough, and that it's time to rein in the out-of-control spending. To get their spending under control, the federal agencies must begin operating at the same levels or at very least receive only modest increases. The American people are sick and tired of the D.C. cartel running up the tab on the American people while our constituents are struggling to make ends meet. To be clear, my amendment still allows for a modest increase in the fiscal 22 spending for energy and water. I'm not trying to slash funding or cripple necessary infrastructure. I'm trying to ensure that taxpayers' dollars are used efficiently and that we get government off the path to financial ruin. I reserve.
Gentleman from Montana reserves.
Will the gentleman yield? Will the gentleman yield?
He's already yielded back.
Pardon?
I mean, he's already reserved. I'm sorry. For what purpose does the
parliamentary inquiry? When the gentleman began his remarks, he referred to the Interior Bill. This is the Energy Bill. I wonder if the gentleman could clarify that.
I just misspoke. Mr. Speaker, misspoke. This is for Interior.
Gentleman from Montana, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this is for Interior. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. This is for Energy.
Pardon me.
Excuse me.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from
I think the record
Ohio
will have to be
recognized.
corrected.
Who claims time in opposition?
Who claims time in opposition?
For what purpose does the
Mr. Chairman, I claim time in opposition.
For what purpose does the gentleman is recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in regard to the energy and water bill that is before the House today, I respectfully rise in opposition to the amendment. We discussed earlier today in some very strong and positive debates about the role of the NNSA and the strong nuclear arsenal aspect of the Department of Energy, which is so critically important. And I debated and against my Democratic colleagues in that regard. That is all part of this great energy and water bill. It is a wonderful, robust bill, not only for the Department of Energy, but also for the water side of the bill. The reduction proposed in this amendment would negatively impact national security and critical infrastructure programs in the bill. As I alluded to, this bill has both defense and non-defense spending in it. The amendment makes no distinction of where the reductions would come from, instead allowing the Biden administration to administer the reductions as they see fit. And I would not trust the administration to do that. I think Congress needs to do that. That would likely affect the NNSA, as I've alluded to, and I cannot respectfully support any amendment that would jeopardize the balance of this bill. Therefore, I oppose the gentleman's amendment, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Montana is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Secretary Granholm, we've seen America's energy prices skyrocket with no clear plan to help Americans other than further to deplete our strategic petroleum reserves. The Department of Energy has done nothing to show they deserve an increase in funding from last year. Secretary Granholm routinely speaks about how her intention is to quickly move away from traditional energy industries. Many Americans rely on these industries for their livelihoods. This administration shows a lack of clear consideration of these people and industries, even as they are necessary during our transition to clean energy. Furthermore, the very people that get hurt the most by this reckless administration's actions are the ones at the lowest end of the income scale. Quite frankly, if you just look at one section of this legislation, we don't want to compromise our national defense. One section, $1.2 billion, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, is where the federal government is picking winners and losers to try and develop different types of fuel, including biofuels and batteries, and the federal government should not be involved in that. The free market knows how to do it. They know how to do it the best. They have demonstrated they know how to do it the most efficiently, and with that, I reserve.
Gentleman Montana reserves. Gentleman has the only time.
Mr. Speaker, again, I would just like to say that there's no reason that we cannot remove a meager $1.55 billion from this total bill, and I would yield back.